Hello, welcome again to Extraordinary Connection, a blog of United Methodist pastors in Michigan offering you daily devotionals in turbulent times. The turbulence of these times is what I want to address today. There are so many things that seem to be off kilter, thrown into chaos, out of balance right now. There's so much conflict, so much division between us about things I never would have dreamed that we would be so divided about. And we typically feel that when things are in balance, at peace, when people are in harmony, that's how we know that God is present and that God's will is being done. Of course, the biblical witness actually doesn't make it that simple for us. Yeah, it's easier and it's more pleasant for the most part when things are in peace and harmony and calm. But that's not the state that we're always called to if we are to follow a God of life and love and justice. A reading that we had just recently in the lectionary from Matthew 10, and I will be reading verses 32 through 39. This helps me frame some of what we're going through in this time, some of this disruption and chaos, as actually perhaps part of how God is working. Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and one's foes will be members of one's own household. Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take up the cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Those who find their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it. This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. That reading, those words of Jesus from Matthew, reminded me of what I've been learning about family systems theory. In family systems theory, we understand people more in terms of their role, their position in a system of relationships. And whether the family is an actual biologically related or legally related family, or it's a church family, or it's a community, or it's a society, or an entire country, the same rules apply, that this system of relationships wants to stay in balance. It seeks equilibrium. And even some of the more problematic parts of it somehow usually are serving to maintain this balance of what people are used to. It's become comfortable. And when some part of the system, say some person in it, starts to act differently, starts to not play their usual role and upsets the balance, then everyone else seeks to kind of compensate or do something or drag them kind of back into their role to restore the original balance. Change, true change, and good change, life-giving change, can only happen when someone or some part or group in the system can do something different, can shake it up, can disrupt that balance, and remain strong in themselves, true to themselves. They call it self-differentiation in family systems theory. Not be swayed and pulled back into whatever their role was, but really remain true to themselves and their identity, their sense of self, while still remaining in relationship in the system in a less anxious way, not getting so wrapped up in that push and pull. So I think that this applies to a lot of what we're going through right now, and even what we've gone through in our history as humans, as United States citizens, from the Revolutionary War for Independence, when people were upsetting a colonial system, when they were throwing tea overboard on a ship, destroying property, to now that we're having protests against brutality and violence and prejudice, discrimination of Black people and other people of color, and sometimes that's getting messy and chaotic, and it makes us uncomfortable. These systems need to be disrupted. There's something about the balance and the equilibrium that creates problems, that creates suffering and pain for some people. Maybe even in some ways, this virus, well, I don't think that it's sent by God, and I don't think that it ever would be God's will that so many people suffer and die, that so much pain comes from this. This virus is a form of disruption of what we've always taken for granted, and it's revealing some of the injustices and inequalities that many of us were previously able to ignore. It's revealing how foolishly divided we can be instead of working together to protect life, to care for each other. So all these forms of disruption, while they can be uncomfortable, while they can cause pain and suffering, are also opportunities to create true change. And that, my friends, is often where God is working most powerfully, where God is most present in the disruption. So whether it's conflict within a family about some of these issues, or on the whole societal level of this very, very messy, chaotic family of our country, we need to embrace that sometimes disruption is what will lead us to true, deeper, and radical love. So, as I often do, I'll close with a song, and it's called Disruption. Isn't it nice when the beggar stays in his place? Isn't it nice when the sinner covers her face? Isn't it nice when the poor ones hide away? And you gather good people on a clean, safe, holy day. Now you got to stop and speak with the man you always spoke about. Now his eyes can see, and he's not afraid to shout. Is it a sinner who healed me? Was I born a sinful? blessing of God go with you today and help you to remain true to Christ's calling on your life, even in the midst of chaos and disruption.